Hey witches, welcome back. Do you love the Songs or Spells podcast presented by me, Karlyn King? Hearing about how people in the music industry use magic in their lives? And do you want to level up your life using the easy spiritual hacks discussed by our amazing guests like Aurora, Idols, and OG Sex Pistol Glenn Matlock? Well, now is the time. I have personally manifested many things like relationships, tuition fees, and even specific podcast guests. Think of me as your personal guide for your spiritual glow up. So what are you waiting for? As Billie Eilish, Bruno Mars, Jay-Z and even Ariana Grande know. Yep, they practice this. A weekly bit of witchery does not take long. Join me today in our Patreon community page. You can access it via the link in the show notes or our Instagram bio at Songs or Spells Podcast. I can't wait to meet you. Hey witches, polish off your dance moves because this week I am joined by the incredible Whigfield. Now there's a whole lot more to her than just Saturday night. We delve into her mother's suicide, her spiritual beliefs, her mindfulness, how she was really depressed in the 90s at the peak of her fame and we had no idea, and since then being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. This is a truly inspirational story, so let's dive in. That song was out Saturday night, was absolutely a spell, I think, for anyone in the 90s.
I've heard it's both a Guinness Book of Records, but I think it's on the same time, it's got the record for most hated song as well.
Wow.
Because you know, with any kind of artist or any kind of music, you're going to have the haters and you're going to have the lovers. And I think no matter what, you know, it doesn't matter if it's bad publicity. Any publicity is good, you know. So I always look at the positives. If the haters talk about you, that's a good thing.
Yeah, there's no such thing as bad press, right?
No, at all.
And that song, I mean, what are the records that it's broken?
Well, it entered the Guinness Book of Records for me, a debut artist releasing a debut song going straight to #1 in the UK for the first time. Yeah.
So did you have any idea that it would be that big?
Do you know what? I hadn't. It was such a different song from what was out at the moment at that time. I was a bit scared because a lot of record companies turned us down. So that's not very encouraging when you're trying to start a music career and you're trying to get out there. So I believe a lot of times that it's the people that make the hits, not a label, not a pretty video or a lovely photo session. It's the song, you know. Mm-hmm. And if the people want that song, well, that song is going to go into radio. And we ended up signing with a very small label. It was actually two guys that had a record store in Valencia. So they made a bit of money out of that.
Wow, I bet they did.
Yeah.
That's so great. And I just love what the song stands for. And I love that it's just complete escapism. It's like you're getting ready to go on a night out. Maybe this guy, maybe this other guy. I just love it.
It's what we girls do on a Saturday night. Well, what I used to do many years ago. It's the hairdryer. Well, I used to sing in the hairbrush.
Yeah, me too.
But when I grew up at my grandmother's house, that would be the hairbrush, definitely.
Did you grow up in Denmark?
Well, I've traveled around quite a bit. When I was 6, my parents moved to Ivory Coast.
Oh, wow.
So I started doing French school there, and then I went around different countries around Africa, growing up in different countries. So I had a mixed childhood a bit everywhere, and then went back to Denmark a bit to study. Most of my family members were playing some sort of instrument, but they all said, you need to get a real education, you know, you need to get a real job. So I studied fashion design because I was really good at drawing. And I graduated, and as soon as I did that, I moved to Italy because I thought that would be the place to work. But I ended up going to Fendi for an interview, and they were looking through my book, my drawings, whatever. And a lady said, "Excuse me, what are your measurements?" And they measured me, and then I started doing fittings for Fendi.
Wow.
Yeah, so I became a mod. Like, I was traveling around Italy doing fittings for Laura Biagiotti, Fendi, different big labels.
Yeah.
And so that was like my main income. And then I started working, I was doing corporate relations for different clubs around Bologna where I live. And that's where I met one of the guys who wrote Saturday Nights.
Wow. So you just happened to meet this person, and did you already want to do music?
Well, I mean, I had been singing, I have been, had lessons, and I was singing in school, and I was always in the music classes and stuff. So I don't know, it was something I did more for as a hobby, not really something that serious. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go to, it's not like you're going to Italy to get a record deal.
And it just happened. So you met this producer, writer.
Well, he said to me, look, Larry, the producer is looking for singers that can sing in English. So why don't you drop by the studio and we'll have a meeting. So I was on the next train to Reggio Emilia where they have the studio. And we just started talking, and I did a little test. And halfway through the test, he just stopped the music. And I went, oh dear, what have I done? And he said, no, it's good. It's good.
And was the song Saturday Night then?
No. It was, I think it was All That She Wants by Ace of Base.
Oh, what a song. I love it.
Yeah, because that was, at that time, I think All That She Wants was #1 everywhere.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I remember I was a kid and I'd been on holiday to LA. I had family over there. And I remember I didn't hear it over there, but as soon as I came back, it was literally everywhere. Such a good song.
Well, I ended up actually doing it because in the beginning of my career, I didn't have a lot of songs. So I did All That She Wants by Ace of Base, What Is Love by Hathaway, an E17 song. Yeah, and then a remix of Saturday Night, because I needed a little content for my show. I couldn't just show up and sing Saturday Night,
Yeah, for sure. I know you've got many other tracks as well, which are all fantastic. So in that time then, in the 90s, so that song really escalated out clubs in Spain, like you said. So people were sort of bringing it back, and probably on CD at the time.
Well, it was more cassettes.
Cassette tape, yeah.
Cassettes in those days, not so many CDs. But what happened was a lot of these holiday makers came back to Britain after their holidays and started calling into radio stations. This is something that I heard from Dr. Fox. And he said everybody was calling in about this Saturday Night and nobody knew what it was about. So they had to go and get it. And it was basically, well, that was the reason why it just went straight to #1. Nobody heard it.
Wow. It just seems so meant to be. It just seems easy. Like you just met the guy, did the track, and it just explodes.
Well, it wasn't quite that, when you sit and tell the story, it sounds very easy. Like, okay, then we did this, and then we wrote that song, and then we did that. It's never that easy, you know. Like, for every track I do, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
It's not just, and in those days, mind you, in those days, it wasn't digital. Everything was like recorded on tape to be physically cut. You know? Yeah, that was like a lot of takes that basically had to be physically. Like nowadays on the computers, like 2 seconds.
Yeah, you think it was better then when we did things to tape?
Well, there was no auto-tune.
Yeah, so you had to really carry the note.
I love a good auto-tune. I don't care. Yes. I mean, now when I record stuff, I actually, because I learned to use Pro Tools and a lot of different things. So I love gadgets and gimmicks and stuff that, can not sound different, but it just adds a little something. And everybody uses it now. Even the best singers, even Adele uses stuff on the vocals just to get them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so interesting. So the 90s, you're just everywhere. You're on top of the pops every week. I love it. I've watched all those performances.
I even presented Top of the Pops.
That's like the dream job. So what was the 90s like? Like, was it as wild as we all think?
Do you know what? The fact that not everybody had a mobile phone, the fact that there was no internet, the fact that when people went to concerts, you could see people looking at you. You didn't have like all the mobile phones. And also you couldn't have like the world having one opinion or the other opinion. Everything is so public now, people bullying each other, putting each other down. I think it was easier to grow up or easier to being a teenager in those years. I think life was more simple. You would go around to people's houses instead of like just FaceTime them. But my 90s maybe were a bit wild because I've always been like a very simple girl. So I kind of just got into this from one day to the other. I just remember all, the splendor, the grandeur, traveling business, best hotels, all these things. And you kind of I just got thrown into the whole thing. And yeah, I was a party girl.
Please tell us more, because I know you've used the word naughty before.
Oh my God, I was naughty from 1 to 10, let's say 9. I was really naughty. I wanted to try it all. I wanted to have a good time. I wasn't scared. It's so funny because my life now is so upside down. Like now I don't drink alcohol. I only eat healthy. I do sports. In those days, it would be, sometimes I didn't even sleep. Like we're talking weekend here, like going to Ibiza, whatever it was. And I lived for 10 years. I lived in Barcelona, which is a party city, and all of my friends were party animals. So it was a bit difficult sometimes to handle being professional and get enough sleep and party. But when you're young, you have so much energy.
The 90s really stands for that time, doesn't it? In terms of like club culture. And then like Britpop in the UK was kicking off, like the UK was cool again. They've all got really wild reputations. Do you think it was more difficult for you as a pop artist to have that wild behind the scenes life?
Well, it was kind of like, that was my personal experience, was a lot of times when I was backstage in festivals or whatever it was, and all the other artists I was hanging around with were drinking like crazy, because there's a lot of time that you spend where you're bored. There's a lot of time waiting for things, waiting for a job, waiting to go on stage with. So I would just hang out with all the bad guys. Now I'm actually so boring. Like I get to festivals, my rider is basically water, a little bit of fruit, and a towel.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a cheap date.
So when you say the bad guys, then like, do you want to like tell us who that was, or any?
I think you all know who the bad guys were. I mean, like some of the guys I'm still touring with now. I'm doing a lot of 90s stuff. He's 17. Like Brian Harvey was a naughty one. He really was. But he even ended up, I think he did something really silly. We were both on London Records. And, like when you're an artist, it's, if you're a boy band, you can have a bit of the naughty side, whatever. But he went on, I think, publicly and say, oh, taking ecstasy is okay, or whatever. You didn't do certain things. And those were one of the things you weren't supposed to do.
Yeah, but they very much did it, didn't they? And it was part of their brand, I guess.
Now they're kind of like grandfathers, just chilling. And it's funny because now I was doing a show some years back, and we'd all done our sound check. We were all in the restaurant, more or less. There was like Right Said Fred. I was there, just a few other pop bands from the 90s. And the funny thing is, when the menu came, everybody put on their spakes.
I just feel like the 90s was so innovative, and certainly like with your tracks, people just wanted to go out and have a good time and feel good.
And also, like in those days, there was money, labels paid crazy money to do nice videos. There was money for production. You sold records. You could make money out of record sales. Now it's like, basically, you release music to all get it into movies or into advertisement or just for the live shows, because that's where our money are now. They're basically in the live shows, or you start your own business.
So where are you at now then? So I know you're doing Reminisce Festival, which is an incredible lineup. That is going to be so good. So where are you at now then with your music? Because I know you've been self-producing.
Yeah. A few years ago, I moved to London, and because I wanted to do something different. In the past 10 years, I've been also writing for other artists like Benny Benassi, a few other, dance artists. And I thought, oh, let me try something else, because I've always loved house music. So I started producing house music. Well, actually, I didn't produce it. My producer did. I was just in the phase of writing and singing.
Oh.
and actually got signed with Armada Records in Holland, which is, it was like the cool label to go to if you're in house music and stuff. But it was all at my expense, it was even the videos, I paid for everything, just, but that wasn't, it was just kind of a fun mood. But then I thought, no, let me go back to do Whigfield stuff and then get back thinking about my tour and all that.
Wow. So is that kind of goes back to what you said, you have to be your own business, and was that part of it? You had to pay for your video?
Well, then, I own everything. I own the master. I have ownership of everything. And then, I decide what things should look like, what things should sound like, who's going to remix them. I'm kind of my own boss. I don't have to depend on 70 different labels.
Yeah, so you weren't your own boss then, I take it, back in Saturday night
times? In the 90s, I was on so many small independent labels around the world. So it was different singles getting released at different times with different photo sessions, different CD covers. It was madness. Like I would have to go to Australia to do one promo, and then I'd have to fly to Japan, do a different promo. It was, it's not like you have one major label that takes care of everything.
Do you feel that you were like fairly paid for Saturday night and its success?
Yeah, I think I made a fair amount of money, because I mean, as I said, in those days, there were also neighboring rights. There's still money coming in from that song. So I think I did. I wish I'd written it, but then again, money isn't everything. Like if you get into this, like nowadays, I don't understand what people have. They have this obsession with fame. Fame is the worst thing in the world. Like going to a supermarket to buy a tampon and you have a paparazzi standing outside. What is that about? It's not fun. And I don't get that whole thing about Love Island, all these things. I just think it's weird.
So week one's guest, Isabel Campbell, said that we live in a fake world and we need to reject it. Do you feel the same?
Well, it's kind of, it's kind of like people, I'm more worried about, I don't have children, and I'm actually happy now I don't have children, because if I think about having a teenage daughter that has to change her face on Instagram, she posts it. And I don't know. I mean, it's so weird, because then every 10 years, everything changes. So you just have to go with it, I'm not going to be that one saying, when I was young.
You're so right. It's a completely different culture that we live in now. And it's so interesting that the whole nostalgia for the 90s, where do you think that comes from?
Well, musically, I think that a lot of it comes from melody. The songs from the 90s, if you listen to the Venga Boys, for example, their songs are they're like nursery rhymes. They're so easy to sing along to. They're so catchy, not complicated. I think people just like a good cheesy song with a good melody. I'm not going to say you don't have good music now, but there's so many artists coming out every 5 minutes, and half of it doesn't, one song has like 15 different pieces in it. I was listening to Beyonce's new song, and it just has so many parts in it, and I didn't know what to sing along to. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Muddled. I know exactly what you mean. And it's like, okay, what's she trying to say?
Which part is that, and what does she want to say in that part, and what did she want to say in that part? Whereas
I think the tracks that you do are much more accessible, and like we do want escapism, don't we? Because they say that in times of crisis we revert back, so let's say to the 90s, and all these kind of nostalgia gigs happen.
I have this thing, if I'm in a bad mood or if I can't sleep at night, I tend to travel back in my mind to when I was a child playing in my grandmother's garden. You always want to go back to when you had the best times. And I think maybe, I don't know if children understand the connection we used to have to each other Like you go to a restaurant, you see kids with their iPads watching.
Mhm.
When I went to a restaurant with my parents, we would have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's so easy to just give kids a gadget because
Yeah.
instead of spending time with them and teach them things, and or maybe even go out in nature and without television.
So are you quite spiritual then?
Do you know what? I believe in life after death. But then the other day I started thinking, what if an asteroid is going to hit Earth and there won't be any people left? Where am I going to go? That's how I feel like my spirit is going to go. I don't know if I believe in God because I think there's something, but I can't put my finger on it.
Because you said that you're quite a very clean living now. So I guess
Yeah.
you're quite into wellness and benefits of exercise and things like that. Do you think that's connected spiritually?
Well, one thing I've noticed when I do like an hour of Pilates, I just do it by myself in the house and I lay on the floor and I do one class of Pilates. I kind of travel with, I'm really into mindfulness.
Yeah.
Like being in the moment. And I love that feeling when you're actually enjoying the moment, the thing, it can be even cleaning the floors or whatever it is. But being in the moment is so important. And I think that's maybe also because I've gotten older. When you're younger, you're kind of like, I don't care.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you Spellcast, your weekly astrology for the week ahead. And it's quite a tumultuous time up in the universe this week. Virgo season has begun and you're going to be feeling a real back to school mode and reflecting on the year gone and the rest of the year to come. What is it that you really want to bring in this year and what steps can you take now to make sure that you end this year on a high? Mercury enters my sign Libra on the 26th, so communication could become much more diplomatic. So watch out for where this could be useful for you, especially in difficult conversations. Now back to my chat with Whigfield. So it sounds very different then to your experiences in the 90s, in that you're in more of a place of wellness and mindfulness. Do you do any journaling?
No, I'm too lazy for that.
Okay,
so I do journaling in my mind.
Yeah.
I think a lot. I really think a lot. I think a lot. I've been, trying to understand myself for so many years. There were some years I was really, really unhappy, like truly unhappy, even during Whigfield times. And I think also, like when, that's what I think now. I wish I would have been smarter when I was younger, because you can also hurt your brain. Like alcohol is really not good for you, And if I think about how much I used to drink, I think it really affected my mental health. The ups you had when you were high or when you were drunk and the downs you had, I'm really thinking of those things now, and I'm so out of it and I'm so happy. Even the smell of alcohol when I have like drunk people around me now and they come up to me, it's like,
Wow. So it sounds like you quite a rough time then.
Well, I think a lot of musicians that have had that high, you get that high and then you overwork yourself, because I was really overworked and I traveled a lot. There was like days when I entered an airplane, I would just be in such a bad mood because I was so sick of airplanes.
Yeah.
And interviews, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. It was like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
And even sometimes I would do interviews and then I would read the interview and they hadn't written anything I said.
Wow.
That would be mostly the tabloids.
I can imagine. Yeah.
But in those days you had to do the tabloids as well.
And is that something you think to come out of your mindfulness practice?
I studied it, and until one day I was like, wow, that is mindfulness. Because it's not something you read about and then you know about it because you understand it. It just happens from one day to the other. Just, oh my God, this is mindfulness. How awesome is this?
That's great. I think everyone is spiritual in their own way, and it sounds like you've maybe always been connected in with that, and it just took that journey to really start to practice it on a daily basis.
Well, I think maybe it started when I was very young. I lost my mom when I was 14. And I had this pursuit of meeting her again or seeing her somewhere, So I've always had this feeling or urge to maybe see she's around the room or whatever. So that's my spiritual side.
Yeah, so you do believe in the presence of others?
Oh
And
yeah, definitely. We're not alone. We're not alone. Sometimes I get that feeling. It's a very comforting feeling of
yeah.
well-being within a few seconds. It's like a rush of just feeling amazing.
Wow, because you know they're there and they've got your back.
Well, I should hope so.
That's so interesting. Do you believe in anything else that you feel is quite, some people consider left of center?
No, I think I'm quite a boring person. I'm not like
I don't think so.
No, I don't have like any, I don't get the whole like people reading cards and stuff. But I guess that's a whole new, like, if you study it, there's maybe some logic behind it, but
Yeah.
I'm too lazy to study that. It doesn't interest me.
I mean, I do that like every Friday. We do that for the podcast, and it's kind of like your energy goes into the cards, and then the cards will deliver whatever you need to know or focus on that day. So it is quite mindful in that it gives you that little thing to focus on for the day. It can be something like be brave. It can be helpful to others. It can be love, be in a vibration of love.
Well, when lockdown happened, I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna go nuts because I suffer from, I've got severe bipolar disorder.
Oh.
And that was diagnosed quite late in my life. But I've got the right medication and so I could live my life very normal. But when lockdown happened, I thought, holy cow, I'm gonna go nuts. So I made a plan. And I said, what is there to be done in this house? So I just made a plan about all the things I have to do in this house that I never have time to do. And I started doing all those. Then I thought, okay, what's my next plan? I want to train for half a marathon.
Yeah.
So I started doing that. Then I said, I want to get like, I wanted to do like a little vlog about cooking every day. So I started doing that. And every Saturday night, I did a Facebook Live concert.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
For half an hour every single Saturday. So that meant dressing up, doing my hair and makeup, So you have to, so now before I go to bed, I make a plan in my head, what my next day is going to look like.
Love it.
I don't have any, I'm not going to say triggers, but like stuff that can move me in the wrong path of thinking negatively. So I'm training myself how to always be in a good space.
Yeah, that's super spiritual. It's mindful, it's well-being, it's self-care. I call it witchcraft because it's controlling your energy and your space completely.
Well, one thing I think they should teach in school to kids is how to love yourself.
100% more than ever.
How to love yourself and how to love others, because already in school we start being bullies, don't we? Like kids are really horrible. Kids, I remember in school, like some kids, they could really be horrible. Not to me, but to some others that I've seen in my class. And I think, there should be like a course about loving and just being kind. Yeah.
I hope that we relay some of that on this podcast. Just to go back to what you mentioned, that you have bipolar disorder. Can I ask how that has manifested in your life?
So in the 90s, I thought I was just in a bad mood, or I thought I was like depressed because I had like severe ups and downs.
Right.
Which I thought maybe because I had like a long night and then the day after, whatever. But then sometimes it would be, I never knew how I would wake up. And for many years, I lived with it until I just got like really, I think maybe it was in 2014, I got diagnosed with breast cancer.
Really?
I went into menopause at the same time.
Wow.
And that just led into so many different, hormonal craziness.
Yeah.
And I ended up talking to a psychiatrist, and, I had different doctors giving me different medications until I finally found, my current doctor, she found I take very, very little. It's so little, it's crazy. But I'm living like a normal person. So for anybody listening, if you feel like you have those ups and downs, they're not normal. You have to go and see someone because it can be cured. It's not, you don't have to suffer to live,
Yeah. So you manage it now with a minimal amount of medication.
Oh yeah, yes.
And your mindfulness practices and self-care and setting like goals for the day.
Well, of course, touring at Reminisce doesn't harm.
Absolutely.
I mean, going on stage is like the biggest antidepressants there is.
I love it. I've met a lot of people who now have a diagnosis of bipolar, but who, when they didn't know that they had bipolar or that they were experiencing these symptoms, that they would manage it with drugs and alcohol. Like, do you think that was the same case for you?
Well, because I was so used to drinking and I was over drinking.
Yeah.
Not like I would wake up in the morning and drink,
Wow.
But I would drink more than enough, like during the week. And I just knew that because alcohol it's so bad for your mental health, but it's also, if you have bipolar disorder, that's like a no.
Yeah.
So I've just learned ever since I don't drink alcohol at all, how good my life is. I'm like, and it's not like I'm boring. Actually, I think I'm more fun now than I used to be. I'm really joking. I love a good time. And I hang around with my friends and they drink and some of them drink too much. I don't care.
Yeah. So you don't miss it? No.
No. Oh, I don't miss it because every time if I think about or smell alcohol, it triggers the memory of bad times or depression or confusion.
How did you manage to be Whigfield when you felt that low?
I remember the day my grandmother died, it was on New Year's Eve, and I had to do 3 shows because the audience, it's not their fault, whatever goes through your life. So you basically, what you have to do, you have to just put a different face on when you go out there. You can't just go out.
Yeah.
You just have to soldier through because like that happens so many people. They go to work every single day and they might go through so much shit in their life,
Yeah.
They just put on a face. That's what you do. You don't go it's not like, when someone says, how are you? People normally say, I'm fine, even while they should be saying, I feel like I want to kill myself,
Yeah. Have you felt that way?
Oh yeah. Hundreds of many times. I think because my mother committed suicide.
Oh, really?
It was something that had always, it was like a no in my house,
Did your mom have bipolar, do you know? Or
she had depression.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there was something there. Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, it happens in a lot of families, and sometimes when you're 14, you don't really understand a lot of things. I think maybe if I would have been older, I could have maybe understood her more or helped. But children is they're never to blame for any of these things. Even though children think, oh, my mom didn't love me because she left me. But sometimes I thought, oh, maybe I got it from her because she had breast cancer, so I got breast cancer.
How did you cope with that then? Did you have treatment?
Oh yeah, I was operated and then I had 6 weeks of radiation therapy.
Right.
That was weird. I lost all the skin on my breasts.
Wow.
But that wasn't the worst. The worst was sitting in the morning with the other patients because some of them, they were in a really bad shape. I knew I was going to get out of it because I caught it really early. But some of the other ladies didn't look so good. So you have to think about how lucky you are in life, just generally.
Yeah, gratitude. All goes back to gratitude. So I do 10 things every day that I'm grateful for in a way of sort of raising my vibration, because spiritually, if you've got a higher vibration, they suggest that you'll attract more good things. But similarly, like yesterday, I had a really shit day. I just, for some reason, felt shit. Guess it's about not being sort of toxic positive and saying, oh, I'll be fine, but just being like, okay, why do I feel this way? What's getting me down? Okay, it's okay to sit in this and relax and rest while I feel on that down.
I always, when that happens to me, I always put in my head, tomorrow is going to come soon. And after a good night's sleep, everything will be fine tomorrow. So I'm not gonna torture myself with my bad mood. I'm just gonna let it go.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get on with my day. Like, everything's fine. It's okay. You can have a bad day. So I hype myself up to the next day. The next day is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Just like acknowledging that, yeah, at this point, maybe I don't feel great, but yeah, it's all transient, it's all temporary.
Another thing I've done in my life, I've expelled all negative people from my life.
Amen.
I don't have bad friends. I used to have bad friends.
Yeah.
I don't have any of those. I don't want to be friends on Facebook. I don't care about their lives. So now I just have, the friends I have now are all really good people, honest, loving, nice. The ones that always want to, give you a push, the ones who want to help you. So if anybody out there, you got shitty friends, get rid of them.
That is the best advice you'll get.
It can even be a family member. It doesn't matter. You can have a family member that puts you down. Bye.
Yeah, being there, protect your energy. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. So are you very settled in Italy then? Do you think you'll stay in Italy?
Yeah, I live in the countryside. I have an amazing life.
Yeah.
An amazing partner. I've got 2 big dogs.
Oh, great.
And, it can't get any better. Like, I live in a little village. I've got a lake nearby. I'm 5 minutes from the airport, so I can go to work in no time. And, I'm still getting lots of requests for touring around the world. So I'm really very happy. And I still make music. So I'm going to prepare some stuff for next year. That Saturday night is going to be 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So it has to be big. You can't just release something after 30 years and then people are going to go, oh, what's that?
Oh my God. You have to get an incredible remix or something.
If you do a remix, it has to be like David Guetta or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if I just do a remix and then Saturday night, 30 years on, and then it just flops, then I'm just gonna hide myself for a week. So or I come out with something equally brilliant, or I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't want to do something, I don't want to rush it. Until I know exactly what we're gonna do, then we'll start producing.
Yeah. Patience, like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah. Everything will in divine timing.
Like even I've been, I had to message a person a few days ago, and I didn't feel like messaging, and I just thought, okay, I'll wait. I'll just, let's see what happens. And then the person messaged me, and it was really positive.
Wow.
And then I said, good thing I didn't write anything.
Came out the blue, manifested, you might say.
Exactly.
With the good thoughts and your good vibes. Yeah.
Exactly.
You've been on such a journey. It's been absolutely incredible to hear about your journey, and thank you so much for being so honest and open about things that you've went
I don't have a problem, because I think the worst thing about like mental health or addiction or whatever is when you start hiding them, because if you can talk about them and maybe help other people to know that there is a change, there is a light, there is a possibility. If that can help them, if people think bad about me because of that, fine, but
I'm really grateful that you've been so open, and I think people will take a lot from this in terms of managing their own mental health and the practices that are available. Where would you recommend someone starts with mindfulness?
Well, I use YouTube quite a lot. There's so many good programs on YouTube. There is an app called Calm.
I use that, yeah.
But there's even, actually, this is funny. It's a guy, he does hypnosis. It's on YouTube. I can't remember his name, but if you write hypnosis or something, and that there's like one for anxiety. It's like 15 minutes of hypnosis. It's not like you're gonna fall asleep or anything. Just get into that whole, and you wake up so much better. So on YouTube, there's so many things.
I'm really into subliminals as well on YouTube.
Yeah.
So just find one for like peace or manifesting this or that. Yeah, I'm right into that.
Yeah.
I'm going to create some on my own, actually. Yeah.
Never stop being curious. You
Yeah.
always have to be curious. Find out new things. If there's something you think you don't have to spend hundreds of pounds for a psychiatrist sometimes. Maybe you can just find your own way out of things,
Yeah. It sounds like you've really done that, and that's really admirable.
Well, because I am curious, especially if I can find a way out of things.
Yeah.
If there is a solution, why not try, and I've tried anything to be happy, the new drug.
Yeah. A lot of these things are, they're actually quite old, and I'm glad that they're getting new attention now because they work. Yeah.
They definitely work. They really do. About the hippies.
Is Reminisce Festival. Yeah. That is very soon. Very excited about that. And next year, 30-year anniversary.
God, well, it's hopefully next year it's going to be, we won't have any funny diseases from China or from any other country. And I've heard we've got like problems with mosquitoes and this and that. We'll see what happens, but we can't be scared about what's going to happen if we don't know. So yeah, just enjoy.
Don't fear and be mindful day to day. I love it.
Exactly.
More than ever. So you're on Instagram, Facebook,
and Twitter.
Twitter, yeah.
You know what? I entered TikTok because of a challenge, and it's the only place where you can see me do the Saturday night dance because someone challenged me, and I did it, and I posted it on TikTok.
Yes, I'm going to look at that right now.
Thank you so much for a really nice chat.
Absolutely, Saturday night, and all your other songs are spells for me.
Thank you.
I had no idea what to expect from interviewing Whigfield. Of course I knew who she was, but I had no idea that behind closed doors she'd fought such a battle. It just shows you that on one hand what the media presents is one thing, but in reality it can be very, very different, so be kind. I'm really inspired by how Whigfield acknowledged her difficulties and has put things in place in order to manage those difficulties, and she seems to be in a better place than ever. And I'm really excited about the 30th anniversary of Saturday Night, which will hopefully be a much better time for her than back in the 90s when she was really struggling. This podcast has been hosted and produced by me, Karlyn King, with music from the Caledonias. Follow us on Instagram at Songsarespells Podcast. Watch out for Tarot Friday every Friday on our Instagram and our TikTok at Songsarespells. And for weekly spiritual life hacks, come and join us on the Patreon community and get your witch on. See you next week.